I'm wearing my pajama shirt and it says, chill out. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now today I am going to be doing a video that basically exposes myself to you guys and also exposes myself to all the publishers who have sent me these books. I am going to be doing a video showcasing all the arcs, all the physical arcs at least, that I have on my bookshelf that I have not read yet, mostly because the publication dates are later on in this year, so it doesn't require too much of my attention, and also a few that I have missed the publication dates for. I just wasn't in the mood to read them when they were coming out, and I kind of got sidetracked with like a lot of other different things that were happening in my life that I kind of just missed these arcs. But I will say that I do have every intention of going back to these arcs that have already been released and actually reading them and actually doing a full review of them sooner than later. So hopefully I can get to it as soon as possible. But without further ado, let's get started with exposing myself and talking about all the arcs that I have on my shelf. So the first arc that I have on my shelf is Lil Universes by Heather Demetrios. Now this is a YA contemporary story that seems like it's going to be a very emotional journey for the reader and as well as for all our characters involved. So this story is about two girls who are actually sisters and they had a very close relationship before the incident. And the incident has caused them a total amount of chaos and total amount of stress. Their lives are basically uprooted from the part in the country of United States where they used to live in, and they had to like move across the whole other country after the incident, and they have to deal with their personal problems as well as dealing with their grief as well as trying to mend their sisterhood relationship. So I was told by the publicist that this book was very emotional and very powerful, so I'm excited to read it. But obviously if we take a look at how thick this book is, I'm a little bit worried and I'm a little bit scared too, because with everything that's happening in this world right now, do I really want to read an emotional story? Not sure, but I have every intention of actually going back to it and revisit it to see if I am interested in this book. Thank you to Macmillan for sending me a copy of this arc, and also Raintoast Books for sending me a copy. So the next book that I received is actually from HarperCollins Canada, or HCC Frenzy, which is like the teen division, and this book is called Rules for Being a Girl by Candice Bunchell and Katie Coctugno, and I'm really excited to read this book. And now this book actually came out in April 2020. Unfortunately, I never had a chance to read it yet, mostly because this book is a little bit on the heavier side. So this book follows a character who is a very good English student, and she has a great relationship with her English teacher, but the problem is that her English teacher is actually thinking too much of her in a very inappropriate way, and when he decides to make a move on her, obviously she feels attacked. Now it's his word against hers, and now she's trying to stand up for herself, even though a lot of people in her life are telling her to just be quiet and just to let things go and just to not bother fighting for what she thinks is right. And I feel like that this book will be a very powerful read that I think a lot of people would really enjoy, especially in this time of age and with our society. But for now, I think I'm going to sleep on it for a little bit longer, mostly because there's a lot more issues in the world right now that are causing me a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and I like to escape with my books where it's a little bit calmer. So this book is still on my radar, but just not right now. So the next book that I have on my shelf is actually an arc of Date Me Bryson Keller by Kevin Van Wy, and now this was sent to me by Penguin Teen Canada, and this book is a male YA contemporary romance book, and this follows two characters. One character is a very popular character, and he actually does this dating game, or like this dating thing, where he dates someone new every single week. And then so when our closeted gay male character comes in and asks the most popular guy on a date, he's shocked and surprised that the popular guy actually agrees to it. And this is kind of like a secret relationship, I believe so, and it's going to be like this kind of fling, and it's about self-discovery, and it's about like how other people view homosexuals and how other people deal with like homosexuality in the high school, and also like peer pressure and things like that. I think that this one is going to be a very cute and fluffy read, but also touching upon very important subjects. Once again, the publicist that actually sent me this book told me how cute it was, and I'm super hyped and super excited. This book is now available for you guys to purchase, so definitely add this one to your TBRs. Now the next book that I received is actually from Source Books Fire, and that's like the teen division of Source Books, and this book is called 4 Days of You and Me. and this is a enemies to lovers YA romance contemporary read. So this follows like two characters. I think one of them is very popular, and then the other one is kind of like a class clown. Like, you know, he's kind of popular and he's likable, but at the same time they both are from opposite spectrums, and they both have their own prejudices against each other, and they don't like each other very much. So in every year there's actually a school tradition where they actually do an escape room, and then for every year that one day they meet up and they actually hook up. So I think this book, it tells the story of like 4 years of like how their relationship has developed, how they have changed their ways of thinking of each other, and how they're dealing with societal pressures and things like that. I think this would be a fun read, especially during this time where it's like the summer and it's hot outside, and this is like the light contemporary read that I always tend to look for. This book came out in May 2020, so definitely add this one to your TBRs as well if you're interested. So the next book that I have right here is called My Summer of Love and Misfortune, and this was sent to me by Sammy Shuster Canada, here in Canada, and this book is by Lindsay Wong. So it's like a person of color, it's Asian diversity, if you can't already tell already from the cover. So this book actually follows the story of a girl who is feeling like she's a failure because she didn't get into all the colleges that she applied for. She got super drunk and she smashed her car into her garage door and effectively ruined her parents' house, threw a party, threw up, and also her boyfriend is cheating on her with her best friend, so suddenly she has no friends as well. And her parents are seeing her as this person who's making reckless decisions and that doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, so they decide to actually send her back to, like, I think Shanghai, China, where her family was originally from, so that she can stay with her uncle that she hasn't met in a very long time. And they basically spend a whole summer together and they learn about each other's cultures and they learn about how to deal with like certain problems, and basically I guess like of a coming of age story, if that. And I think this book will be very fun to read, especially during a time like this where we can't really travel, but you can travel through books and you can go into different parts of the world that is in a fictional world where it's not impacted by COVID-19. Now the next book that I have here is 10 Things I Hate About Pinky by Danielle Bananas, and this book was also sent to me from Sammy Shuster here in Canada, and this book actually comes out in June 2020, so make sure to pick up the book, because if you are a fan of the When Dimple Met Rishi universe, then this is actually the next edition in that universe. I've ironically read every single book in that universe except for When Dimple Met Rishi, and that's weird for me because like it's the first book in the series, so why didn't I read it? And I just want to savor it, and I never find the perfect moment to read it. So let me just continue reading all the arcs that I received from Sammy Shuster Canada instead, I guess. So this book follows a fake relationship trope, and if you guys are a fan of that, then definitely check this one out. This book follows two characters who wouldn't be caught dead seeing each other, or like they just wouldn't be in the same like social hemisphere or whatever you call it, and they are complete opposites, but through their friendships and their personal like motivations and objectives, they decide to have an arrangement where they do fake dating just to please their parents so that their parents could get off their backs. I think this one will be like a fun read because like fake relationship trope, that's pretty light. With Sandia's books, there usually tends to be a lot of realistic issues where it deals with a lot of things that are impacting culture and family life. So I think that this one will be a fun read as well as a read that is dealing with more complicated issues, and I'm excited to read it. Now the next book that I received is actually from HarperCollins Canada here again, and or HCC Frenzy, and it's called I'll Be the One by Lila Lee. Now Lila Lee is actually a debut author in 2020. She actually wrote 3 books, and all 3 books were actually released this year. She wrote 2 middle grade novels, and she also debuted as a young adult author, and this book actually comes out in June 2020. And I've read one of her books before. I read her middle grade novel and I really liked it. I thought it was very fun. It was very culturally representative. I think she's Korean, so she wrote about a Korean little girl and her culture and her character, and I really enjoyed it. So this book follows a Korean American who wants to become a K-pop star, and lucky for our main character, she does really well during her competition where she is competing against other contestants for a place on the competition show that is going to be hosted in Seoul, South Korea, and she makes it there. So her whole intention, her whole dream is just to become a K-pop idol. As you can tell from the cover, she is a curvier character, And South Korea is very known for its criticism towards idols about their appearances, about their weight. And so we're going to be reading a character who's going to be dealing with a lot of those issues and a lot with like self-esteem and confidence, as well as like everybody judging you and what the mental health of it is as well. I think that this one would be a perfect read for people who are a fan of K-pop, for readers like me. As you can tell in my background, I have a lot of K-pop posters, and I'm excited to read it because I've read a lot of K-pop YA novels recently, and they did a good job at like talking about all the issues that I am familiar with from like all the documentaries and also like a lot of like the idol shows that I do watch. So I'm excited to see Lila's take on the K-pop industry. So the next book that I have is actually a book that was sent to me from Macmillan, which is like also slash Swoon Reads. This is part of their Swoon Reads imprint, and I'm a fan of Swoon Reads imprints, especially like from certain authors. So this author is Jennifer Honeyborn, and I love her books. She wrote a lot of Swoon Reads books recently and also in the last couple of years, and her books are always like very light and very fluffy, but also like dealing with a lot of complicated issues, as well as having characters that are just keep making mistakes but then they learn from it. So if you're a fan of character growth and development and you're okay with characters continuously making stupid mistakes, and I'm sure you're going to be a fan of Jennifer's books. So The Do-Over is about a character who really wants to be popular in high school, and she does everything that she takes, and finally she reaches her goal and she succeeds by becoming popular. But the only problem is that she suddenly realizes that being popular is not what she wanted, and it's a lot more difficult, and you know, it just doesn't make her happy anymore. So I think this book actually includes a little bit of magic, like a little bit magic realism or something going on, but basically she has a chance of going back in time and remaking her whole decision of becoming popular so that she can go back and live her normal average life. And this book is pretty thin, so I feel like I can read and crush this in one sitting, and I'm so excited. So the next book that I have is actually from St. Martin's Press. They were kind enough to send me a copy of JC Lee's book called A Sweet Mess, and this is actually an adult romance novel. So if you guys are a fan of enemies to lovers slash any books that deal with baking, then I'm sure you're going to love this novel so much, because I actually read 2 chapters of this book and I really enjoyed it. But the only problem is that I put it down because I wasn't in the mood of reading a really great romance yet. I wanted to get like other arcs out of my shelf first, so I've been delaying reading this one, or else I would have read this one as soon as I received it. I'm so excited to read this one. This one comes out in July 2020, and now this book follows a character who is the owner of her family's bakery shop, and she's known for baking all the cakes, and she's known for baking like all these like traditional treats and things like that. But the only problem is that the food critic that comes in to review the cake writes a really bad review, and now she is on like this rampage trying to get this review like, you know, redacted and to like get it off the system, because like she wants to prove to him that she can actually bake and that she can actually make a delicious treat. And this is kind of like their enemies to lovers relationship and romance, and I'm so excited to read it. So definitely check this one out and add it to your TBR. So the next book that I have to show you is The Good for Nothings by Danielle Bananas. I still don't know how to pronounce her last name, but this is a YA sci-fi slash fantasy romance, I believe. This one takes place in space, so I think it's more sci-fi. And now if you can see the cover already, you guys can already tell that this book will kind of remind you of Guardians of the Galaxy. If you guys are a fan of that movie, then definitely try to add this one to your TBR. I'm a fan of Danielle's books because she wrote like another book called like The Supervillain and Me, and I read that one last year and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so different from all the YA books that I have read, where it took on like a very interesting concept of following a supervillain and their story, rather opposed to, you know, following a hero and doing like the normal plot that we see. Like, I don't know, I just like that book so much. So I was so excited to request The Good for Nothings. Macmillan actually sent me like the NetGalley widget, and I was so shocked and surprised that they actually sent me a physical arc, especially during this time, that I'm so happy about it, because this is like a physical arc and it's so beautiful. But anyways, this book follows a character who finds herself in jail because she has committed a crime and she doesn't know what to do, but basically the guard strikes a deal with her, and if she can find a national treasure, then she can be released of jail and she doesn't have to serve remainder of her sentence. So with the help of some hooligans and some misfits from jail, she forms a team and an elite alliance to go find the national treasure. I think this book will be super fun to read, and I love Danielle's writing because it's always so light and so easy to comprehend that this one's just going to fly by very fast, and super excited. This one comes out in August 2020, so definitely check it out. So the last book that I have to show you that is actually an arc on my shelf is The Night Swim, and now this is an adult thriller novel, and I don't know if you guys are new to my channel, but basically I'm kind of a romance reader, as you can tell, but I'm also a YA reader. But I recently tried thrillers and I realized that I really like thrillers and that thrillers is quickly becoming one of my favorite genres. But with that being said, I actually didn't request this book because I tried thrillers this year, or like more diving deeply into thrillers. I requested this book because Megan Golding actually wrote one of my favorite thrillers of last year called The Escape Room, and now The Escape Room is definitely a book that I would recommend to you. Without ruining the whole book, this book basically follows like 5 to 4 businessmen and characters who are basically at the top of their lives. They climb the corporate ladder, they're doing really well, they make a lot of money, and they are driven by money and they're driven by success and they want to be the best. So they are told by the HR community they have to do a team building exercise in the escape room. They make their way to like the highest level of the tower for the escape room practice, only to have the elevator stop and for them to be trapped, and only for them to realize that the elevator is actually the escape room and that there might not be an actual way to escape. So this book was so good. I really loved it, and I really liked Megan Golding's writing. When I saw that she had a book coming out in 2020, I obviously requested it, and I was like literally like begging on my knees for a physical copy or just for an arc of it because I was so excited. And to be honest, I actually don't want to talk too much about this book because I never read the synopsis yet. From a quick glance of the synopsis, I can already tell you that this thriller will be like kind of like a past and present kind of thriller where it kind of like goes back in the past and talks about some characters and then have these two storylines merge. But I'm actually not too sure, obviously, because I didn't read the synopsis fully. And the reason why is because I don't like walking into my thrillers knowing exactly what's going to happen. I just kind of want to let the story unfold itself. So I apologize if you guys are interested in this novel, but I'm not telling you guys much about it. As you can tell, it's going to take place near like the beach or the waters, and there's a mysterious girl there. So we're already afraid. But anyways, that is it for all the arcs that I have on my shelf that I still have to read. I have a bunch of NetGalley arcs on my Kindle that I didn't talk about because mostly I wanted this video to focus on all the physical arcs. But if you guys did enjoy this video, then I'll definitely go ahead and make another one focusing on my e-arcs, especially during the pandemic right now. Publishers aren't sending physical arcs because obviously that's not possible. So they've been doing a lot of NetGalley arcs, and I've been getting a ton because I just have issues with requesting, and I'm just so excited about these titles that I request, and they were so kind enough to approve them to me. So I'm very excited for everything on my shelf. But if you guys are interested, let me know. And thank you for watching this video. And until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.